In the early 1950s, Paul Rader and Kay Fuller met as students at Asbury and found direction for their life's work together. Asbury cultivated the Rader's foundation of passionate devotion to Christ and commitment to live out the Great Commission through missionary service and leadership.
They came from very different backgrounds, and yet at Asbury, I think it all sort of came together for them in terms of understanding what they wanted to do with their lives and being called to something that was bigger than themselves.
After obtaining 2 seminary degrees, Paul and Kay started their formal training as Salvation Army officers. Together, they served their first 22 years as missionary officers in Korea.
You have these servants that literally went out into the world and ministered to the least of these, what we're called to do.
We were always quite amazed at their ability to relate to the Korean people. Learning the language was critical to that. Once they mastered Korean, then they were able to really become great assets to the Salvation Army in Korea in many ways.
With an unprecedented, unanimous vote in 1994, Paul Rader became the first American-born general of the Salvation Army. As leaders of the global movement, the Raders traveled extensively, visiting Salvation Army operations around the world.
The Salvation Army currently serves in 133 countries around the world, and all of that is led by our international headquarters in London, where the general serves as our international leader.
It was quite shocking in some ways. He was the first American to ever hold that position. That alone would have been shocking enough. But the fact that he was someone that was quite ecumenical in his outlook and trying to collaborate and make a difference, not only within the Salvation Army, but for the world.
In 2000, just a year after retiring as general, Paul was elected the 15th president of Asbury University.
One of the greatest accomplishments he had was really bringing people together on the campus. I know many times he would end up in the cafeteria sitting down and talking with students, and he went to many games, he would be at different events. And I think that relational piece was really, to me, one of the greatest accomplishments that he had, was to be able to build that and make people look at the president of Asbury in a different way.
I was actually a music composition major at Asbury University. After my 4 years, it culminates with the senior recital of all of my music. And I invite the community to come, and typically just music majors or friends would come. Well, General Rader showed up to the recital, and it was a special moment I will never forget. We were backstage, and we all prayed together. The president of the college, General Rader, prayed with me before this important event in my college career. That was so special, I will never forget it.
Now, with a desire to celebrate a couple who faithfully served both organizations, the Salvation Army led a fundraising effort to name the revitalized Student Center in honor of Paul and Kay Rader. The Student Center is the ideal opportunity to honor the Raders because of their ongoing relationship with students, continued leadership, and unwavering commitment to the mission of Asbury University.
The Raders have always been to Salvationists around the world an example of commitment, of complete commitment to what God would have in store for them. So our hope and our prayer will be that the Paul and Kay Rader Student Center will help inspire generations of Asbury students yet to come to be everything that God calls them to be, and to completely commit themselves to what He has in store for them.